Okay, so this is a lot later in the week than it would normally be, but I do want to talk about the new episode of Survivor. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch it on Wednesday. I did watch it on Thursday, but I'm not getting to this until you can't see outside because of the way my camera is, but it's dark as fuck on Saturday. But here we are, and I didn't want to just not talk about the episode because, well, I watched it. I did enjoy it. But I think that's it. It's like, I really enjoyed it. I thought this was a very, very good episode. And what I liked about the episode is, for the most part, aside from one little thing, there wasn't a lot of bullshit involved. There wasn't a lot of, all right, well, half the tribe isn't going to get to vote, or half the tribe is actually immune, or blah, 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 blah. It was, here are people in the final 7 of a season of Survivor thinking about, how do I get to the end? And if I do, on the path that I'm currently on, do I think I can win? And if the answer is no, what do I do to stop that? And to me, that's good television. That's what good Survivor is all about. So the episode starts as it was expected to start, with everyone celebrating the fact that Bruce is gone, with Katurah getting the first confessional of the episode, just hyped as hell that Bruce is gone. Everyone was happy to see him go except me, because, like, I enjoy Bruce. I think Bruce is a lot of fun. I think he's a good character, and one thing I did like about Bruce is he had a good sense of the game. Now, it was, maybe not as well as I think, because he didn't play his idol, but it always seemed like he had a good idea of what was happening around him, just not whatever was directly concerning him. And I always thought it was a really interesting dichotomy while watching this season. But everyone's happy to see Bruce gone. Emily's like, yeah, this is why he didn't play his idol. This is what I did. And everyone's like, oh, that was so cool. That was so smart. You're a problem. So the Reba 4 are talking to themselves like, oh my god, we did it. There's 7 people left, and that includes the 4 of us. Like, we actually did it. We kind of steamrolled our way to the end of the game, and no one saw us coming. It's us 4 to the end, right? Like, fuck Jake, fuck Katurah, fuck Emily. Yeah, this is great. Kumbaya and all that good shit. Then we get into Dee and Austin, who apparently have a bit of a showmance going, and it seems that the two of them have gotten really close. They seem to really like each other, and Austin even says at one point, he's like, if I don't win, I would want Dee to win. Which raises some eyebrows for me. And I don't mean that to be a, like, man, what the fuck is wrong with you? Because, like, if you find love out there, that's fantastic. Rob and Amber did, and I still remember, like, watching that final tribal council when he proposed to her, and, like, that was honestly really hype seeing that, like, that there was America really fell in love with Rob and Amber when watching All Stars. Like, Survivor is still popular nowadays, but if you weren't following it back in the day, it's kind of hard to emphasize just how huge it really was. But it's the kind of thing that does make me go, Dee has somebody in the final 7 rooting for her and kind of playing for her to win. Boy, her winner stock is going up a lot. And, like, I feel like she's, of the Reba 4, it seemed like she was the one that the jury seemed to respect the most. And not to say that the other 3 aren't respected, but it always to me kind of seemed like Dee is considered the ringleader and the threat of the group. Drew is the really good strategist that people seem to like more than they dislike. Austin is the one that seems the most well-balanced. Like, he's good at challenges. He's got good connections with people. He has his 2 idols, which he doesn't anymore because he gave one to Julie a little bit ago. And Julie is Mama J, and everyone really, really likes her. There's a core 4 there. There's a strong 4, but it always seemed like Dee had the best shot. And with Austin essentially saying, I want her to win, that's someone who, if he is on the jury, is going to do everything in his power to advocate for her. And if the 2 of them are in the final 3 together, assuming it's not a final 2, Because there is a point where they highlight Katura saying, like, why can't we just vote someone out at 4? Like, why do we gotta do this fire shit? Which, I mean, that could just be like a fun little joke, or that could be maybe in this season they will. You never know. We haven't had a Final 2 since Kageon. That could happen. And that would be really interesting if, like, Austin wins final immunity, and then in a Final 3 with him, Drew, and D, and he votes out Drew, his homie, to have D go to the Final 2. Or maybe there's a situation where he gives up his spot for her so she can go to the Final 2 or go to the Final 3. Or maybe if they are in the Final 2 or 3 together, he's not advocating for himself as hard because he really wants her to win. Like, it's the kind of thing where I, as a viewer, go, what are we doing with this? Because I can see a few different things. And I'm interested to see how it all goes. There's another thing like that where Jake says, he's like, man, there's been more votes cast on me than anyone else on the beach at this point. I'd be happy if there were no more votes against me all season, which I go, okay, that is a 0 vote finalist quote. You just monkey pawed yourself there, Jake. I'm sorry. Which there's a part of me that goes, I mean, but if Jake made it to the end, though, I could see Bruce throwing him a vote. I could see maybe Caleb throwing him a vote. I think Jake, probably less on his gameplay, but I feel like he's likable enough that he might be able to snag 1 or 2, but I see that quote and I'm like, he's probably going to be a 0 vote finalist. We did get a lot of Katura's story in this episode and her history. And it was just really fucked up. It was really sad to hear. And this feels like a really weird thing to say about a real person who I've never met before. But like, I don't want to say, because like, I don't want to say I'm proud of her. It's like, I'm happy for her. The fact that all of this shit happened, but she's where she is today. She wanted to be an attorney, and she is an attorney. She said, these are the kinds of people I want to advocate for. I want to advocate for the people like me, and she's doing that. I'm really happy that she's been able to overcome that, and I sincerely hope her life is going great, and that she's able to keep thriving. But getting back to the game stuff, the Reba 4, while they were kind of saying after the Bruce vote out, like, all right, the 4 of us to the end, we got this, it's easy pickings, Drew is kind of sitting there in the back going, okay, Drew is happy that the Reba 4 have done this and that we can go to the end. But Basile wants to win the fucking game. So, what do I gotta do to win this fucking game? Everyone really likes Mama J, and if you're sitting next to Mom is probably getting all the votes, which is, it's not the first time that's been brought up this season, and it's really weird to me, because normally, like, these mother archetype characters, usually when they get to the end, they don't get any votes. People see them oftentimes as, you were overly emotional, or you didn't play as hard as some of, like, the younger bloods, or, you weren't as, like, manipulative or cutthroat or, like, hardcore as some of these other players. You were sweet and we liked you, but, I mean, there's more to Survivor than just being a sweetheart. So the fact that it's kind of consistent throughout the tribe where everyone is like, no. No one wants to sit next to Mom because Mom is a problem. Like, who knows? Maybe she actually could win if she got to the end. And I would like that. I would like that shakeup. I feel like I'll go and say it here. I did already know how the episode was going to end when I started it because I watched it a day late, and fucking rip financial analyst Emily Flippin, I was flipping fucking pissed. She's been my winner pick since like episode 2. I don't really have beef though with anyone else winning. I feel like I either like them from a gameplay perspective or I like them from a character and human perspective. So I'm pretty much good with anybody, but the idea of like, no, a motherly figure made it to the end of the game, and instead of everyone going, yeah, well, I mean, who gives a shit? Like, what did you do? They're like, no, I gotta vote for mom. Like, I really like that. Again, it's not like I'm especially, I don't know, Bahamut's giving me, I don't know if he's tired or if he's glaring at me. He's right here off camera. I'm gonna rub his head for a little bit. But I'd be pretty okay with Julie winning. I think it'd be a nice change of pace for Survivor. I did say there was a tiny bit of bullshit in this episode. So the tiny bit was someone has to go on a journey. Ems goes on the journey. She picks the straw and she's like, I don't want to fucking do this. I didn't want to get an extra target on my back, but it is what it is. She's offered to play a game, and it's if you win, you're immune. If you lose your vote. Or you can walk away and not do it. She's like, I don't want to lose my fucking vote. This is dumb. And then she leaves. That was it. And so the little bit of, I don't want to say production fuckery, but it kind of. The production fuckery in this episode didn't actually screw with anything. We did get a straightforward vote where there was, aside from idols, there were no real outside forces or shenanigans, which made me really appreciate it. When we get to the immunity challenge, Drew goes Basile and wins the fucking challenge. Austin's brain just stopped partway through the challenge, and like, I get it. My brain stops when I'm sensible and I'm fed and I'm warm and I'm comfortable. If I was sitting there with all this stress going on and I'm like, all right, there's a plan to take out Julie, but I'm really close to Julie, but I know it has to be done. But if I do that, I have to turn on D, and I really like D. I don't want to do this. I just want to make sure I'm safe. And you got a lot of stress, and you're hungry because you haven't had your fucking sandwich. Yeah, I can understand the just a no thoughts head empty at one point in the challenge. Like, I know I've done something wrong, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong, and boy, does this bother me. But Drew ends up winning the challenge. He gets a reward. He can bring a couple people on barbecue. So at first he's like, Jake, you haven't eaten shit. Come on, dude. And Jake was just really happy to be included. He's like, all right, Austin, we're going to do a boys' night. So, or like boys' day. So they have a boys' day. They eat a bunch of shit. And Drew's like, all right. No one wants to sit next to mom at the end. Mom's a fucking problem. Let's do this. Emily should be down. Katura should be down. If you guys are down, let's go. And that's when Austin's like, I mean, on the one hand, I don't want to do this because that would make Dee upset. If I don't tell her I blindside someone I'm starting to really like, and boy, I don't want to do that. But if I tell her, the plan gets ruined, and I don't know if I should do that either. On the other hand, I really want to do this because I do think she's a threat to me. I do think she could beat me at the end. And I want to go with people I feel more comfortable sitting next to. On the other hand, why did I give her that fucking idol? Because Julie didn't give it back. And you know what? I'm glad she didn't. I am so happy to see someone get an idol from an ally. For this one wasn't knowledge is power. This was like, yo, there might be some fuckery going on, so here's something to protect yourself. And saying, no, this is mine now. You gave it to me. You've got another one. It's not like I got the only idol between the four of us. You got one. I got one too now, bucko. And like, props to Mama J. I remember, I follow Omer on Twitter from 42. It's from the Marianne season. I believe that's 42. Again, the seasons that have just numbers and not themes or titles kind of blend together in terms of their numbers. Where after the Mike Knowledge is Power Drea boot, he gave the idol right back and then he was booted. He was like, he even kind of commented on Twitter. He's like, I should have done what Mama J did and just not given it back, but Sailor fucking V, you know? So then Austin's like, I really shouldn't have done that. Like, I have to now flush my own idol. Boy, this is ass. But his heart and his conscience wins over his game sense. So he goes and he talks to Dee. He's like, this is what's gonna happen. We gotta axe mom. And she's like, I'd rather we vote out Emily. Yeah, but I'd rather vote out Mom. And it's not like this is my idea, but there's enough people that this is happening. So she goes to Mom and is like, you need to play your idol tonight. Like, you didn't hear this from me, but also no one else is going to tell you this. It's you. It's not just I've heard, it's like everyone is down. You have to play it or else you are going home. So Julie's like, okay. So it looks like I got the power now. If everyone's going to vote for me, whoever I vote for is going to go. I can't vote for Drew, who came up with this shit because he won. I have no intention of voting out Dee. This is the person I'm close to. Like, she doesn't seem to register Jake or Katurah as threats. It's like, okay. Emily, I love her. She's great, but she's a threat. She's smart. She's well-liked. That is someone that's going to be hard to beat on a jury. So is Austin. Austin is also more, like, he's intelligent. He's well-liked. He's good at winning challenges. And if he's turning on me, I can't trust him. Maybe I should cut him. And then through talking with Dee, Dee's like, yeah, he's my other number one. Like, I really don't want to cut Austin. And then Julie's like, oh! So it's not just I'm your number one, you have two number ones. What was her name? Was it Swati? From... Also, I think that was 42, because I think she was Andrea's tribe, who had told everybody, you're my number one, you're my number one, you're my number one. You're like, huh. So what you're saying is, if I do vote out Austin, you lose your other number one, which makes you and I, like, you're mad at me for doing it, but you know that I am now the one person on this beach that has your back. Because Drew's not going to have it. Clearly we know he's not going to. Emily's probably not going to have your back. And Jake and Katurah, they don't have your back. If I vote out Austin, I get rid of a threat, someone I can't trust anymore, and I make my number one more dependent on me. So we go to Tribal, and there's a point, I don't remember what the context was, but, like, Drew starts talking, and he talks about, like, I think some shit about Napoleon, and it immediately cuts to Katurah just rolling her eyes, and then on the jury, Kelly is also rolling her eyes. I was laughing pretty hard at that. Again, like, I like Drew, I do enjoy him, but it was really funny seeing the members, other people in the cast going, like, shut up. I thought that was fun. And then we get to the votes. Everyone votes for Julie. Like, you just see everyone going, Julie, Mama J, Dee going, play your fucking idol. And she plays it, and despite the fact that she knew she couldn't really trust Austin anymore, despite knowing that it would make Dee closer to her, she did what Dee ultimately wanted, and she got rid of Emily. So my winner pick is gone. So in terms of that, I've kind of said, I'm a free agent at this point. I was sad to see her go. I think the fact that I went into the episode already knowing kind of softened the blow. And even if I didn't, she definitely gets a lot more content in this episode, kind of like, about her journey and shit. I was like, I can see it. I can see how this is her boot episode. Fuck. Did I really... anything else to say? I don't think so. I think that's it. I just liked it when she was voted out, Jake going, there goes a badass. There goes a badass. I appreciated that. But, great episode. Heartbroken at the result. But really looking forward to the end game now, because Reba has officially turned on each other. Dee voted along with it, be like, make it look like I'm in on it, blah, 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 but I told Julie what to do. Austin wanted to vote out Julie. Drew came up with the idea, and then it's like the next time on Survivor, it's like, oh yeah, it's Reba has fractured. So Jake and Katurah might have some fucking wiggle room. Like, both of them could maybe make the final three. There's a non-zero chance. I don't think it's super likely. I feel like one of them could probably sneak in. But I feel like at this point, if Reba being so fucked, Ariba's probably going home at 6. Who knows what's going to happen at 5. And then when we get to 4, assuming it's a regular Final 3 season, well, I mean, you win, you're in, or fire making. I mean, honestly, that's something that could happen. If, let's assume they survive 6. If they're somehow able to both survive 5, one of them could win immunity, one of them could win fire, and then somehow you could get 2 Bellows and a Reba in the final tribal. I'm looking forward to it. I don't believe the finale is next week at 6. It looks like the finale will be at 5. Maybe it'll be at 4 if it does end up being a final 2 season out of nowhere, which I think would be... I would love that. I'm not counting on it by any means, but as someone who hasn't... As someone, like, we all haven't seen one in a long time, but having not seen one in a really long time, I feel like we're kind of due for one. I was so hoping Winners at War would come down to a final 2. I was really, really hoping the final immunity challenge for Winners at War was going to be the one from Borneo. Sit here, put your hand on this thing, and we're going to wait until only one person is still touching it. You want to win? You want to win $2 million and the title of the Winner at War. I didn't like the way that sounded. That didn't sound that epic. But just the winner of an all-winner season and all the fucking clout that comes with it and the $2 million cash prize. We're not doing Simotion or whatever the fuck it's called. It's not some bullshit about balls and can you keep your mind intact. Although that's still good and important. Like, I like that. It is pure will. Who wants it more? To me, that is my favorite kind of final immunity. We're here at the end. Fight for it. And I wanted to see that at Winners at War. And I was really disappointed that we didn't. And then it ending with a final 2 would have just been... Unfortunately, it didn't. I still like that season. I do think there's a lot of jank in it. This season, to me, is really fixing that. And it's the 90-minute episodes. It was great. I loved it. Can't wait for the next one.